What's up, everybody? This is the ninth episode of the Infrared Show. And right now I'm moving and shit, and things are kind of hectic. It's the fall is opening up, and it's the end of the summer, so it's not as many people and shit because everybody's busy. So yeah. All right. Yeah. What was I gonna say again?
Kamala Harris, Joe Biden.
Oh yeah. So that happened. So Kamala Harris is the vice president of Joe Biden now. Or no, sorry. She's the running mate for Joe Biden to be the vice president. Do you guys remember
I don't think he had.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't think he had many options at that point.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just she did so poorly in the primaries. You guys remember that shit I wrote where I was like, that I'll die of laughter if he picks her, and I like described what would happen.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, like she's like, first there's gonna be a stage, and then what song was gonna play? It was just because that song was stuck in my head and I associated with her. The Michael Jackson
it was
song,
Michael
Don't
Jackson.
Stop.
Yeah, it was Michael
Jackson. Yeah, she was like, that song was gonna play. Like, is that just me, or does that kind of fit her personality, right?
Yeah, no, I thought it was spot on.
Yeah, so there'll be purple lights. She'll walk out and like, hey everybody, it's Kamala Harris. Her fucking fans are so vapid that actually is what would appeal to them. They're the Twitter GIF fan base, because she did so poorly in the Democratic primaries. Who else is a fan of her besides people who have extremely pathological investments in American politicians and want to make them Marvel characters? You know what I mean? Like, people who stan personalities a little bit too much. You guys ever notice, like, in school, aren't you always taught how scary, or in media or whatever, the movies and shit? Oh, it's so scary. The Stalin and Mao cult of personality. It's so scary. It's dystopian. But it's never reached this level with people like Kamala Harris. You know what I mean? Like, say what you want, but they weren't. It's never reached a level like that kind of cult of personality. At least they were professional about it. Like, it's not even a cult of personality by today's standards.
Yeah, it was entirely different. Like, it was more of an inspiration for people to strive for it. Like, they depicted Mao as, although he was old and sick, like someone who could swim through all rivers and all that. It was for what? For people to get motivation.
Yeah, but they never like share. They never were able to think. They never would have, I don't think, shared a GIF of him. Like, oh,
or
you
made
get it,
fun of him on SNL.
Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah. Do you guys notice how during the Democratic primaries, like, pretty much one of the main reasons people hated Bernie was like, well, he's ugly. Oh, just look at him. Just look at him. He's ugly. Ooh. Like, they over personalized it so much. What a poor guy, dude. He's like 90 years old. Who are you going to vote for, huh? Kamala, who's pretty much Beyonce, if she was a politician? Or this? And they just showed poor Bernie Sanders, who's bald and he's just got glasses and shit. This is who you're voting for? Really? This guy? Okay. They didn't even say anything. They said, oh, this is what you're voting for. And they just showed the picture. They didn't even explain it. It spoke for itself. But also with Kamala, that's kind of why I thought long and hard about it. And with this over personalization of personalities or whatever, And then I realized, you know what? You should actually go to the max. Everyone should be able to have a poetic kind of thinking if we're judging people, like Kamala or Bernie or whatever. You should actually take into account their appearance, their gestures, their mannerisms. And once you actually take this to its conclusion, Kamala Harris becomes the most hilarious clown of all time. Like, think about it. Like, she reminds me, and you have to have a kind of poetic thinking. You have to really be able to describe the essence of these personalities. So Kamala, to me, when I see her mannerisms and she kind of reminds me of someone who is pretending to be excited and have fun at a party by themselves. It's kind of like a failed hype. You know what I mean? Like, it's a failed trying to get, yeah, come on everybody, let's go. Like that, but where
nothing comes of it.
Yeah, the source of the energy is empty. It's not coming from anywhere. You know what I mean by that? Or like, she's excited about nothing. It's almost kind of nihilistic. It's almost like a really morbid and all you could do is laugh because it's funny, but behind the humor of it, it's a little bit morbid, But and then that's what Bernie people should have done. They should, instead of being like, okay, he's 89 years old, he's not that, I guess he is not that good looking. But no, they should have went further and been like, okay, you want to aestheticize things and shit. They should have mythologized Bernie and been like, this dude is a 90-year-old man, still kicking it, still going hard. He looks like a badass. He looks like fucking, you know what I mean? Like, they should have just done shit like that. They should have
like what they did with Mao.
No,
get back to color.
Not quite Mao, but you know what I mean, right? They should have.
Yeah.
They should have had an aesthetic or poetic out. They shouldn't have been like. They always were like, well, can we please just have healthcare? But you can't skip. You can't just have healthcare. You can't skip that pathological shit. Unfortunately, you really can't just skip it. You gotta, fight. I don't know. Actually, do you have to do that? Probably. I don't know. I'm just throwing shit at the wall. Maybe that's not even important at all, Could you imagine how funny it will be if they lose? Biden and Kamala. Just think about it in your head for a second. Imagine if they lose. How stupid will not only they, but every single person who voted Democrat will look if they lose. It's almost a miracle if they lose. And, I'm going to go on record saying I actually think Biden's going to win. I do. I think he's going to win. But I don't really want him to, because it's like, but you can't always do what you want, But if they lost, imagine what a revenge that would be against the Democrats. Yeah, that would be great. You're like, oh, you're supporting Trump. No, I'm not voting at all. I'm not doing nothing. I'm just saying, it's beyond me what will happen, right? So
you remember?
Yeah.
You remember back on campus in 2016 when they were having vigils?
They're having what?
They had candlelight vigils after Trump won. I can only imagine what will come this time around.
Comedy. Bring in the clowns. What is that song? Send in the clowns. That will be it. I remember 2016 very well. I remember that. And it's so funny. It's so fucking funny. I loved it so much. All of the radical with a capital R anarchists were all mourning Hillary Clinton.
Kids were not even going to class. They wouldn't leave their houses. Oh man, it was the most traumatic. It was the most traumatic thing they had ever experienced.
I'm sorry, but people like to mock boomers. Who will deny this is a generation of pussies? Who will deny it? Would anyone deny that? At least in America. It's like they never left daycare. And the thing is that the people who were crying the loudest were the people, they were always like, well, Trump is going to affect a lot of people. But the people who were crying the loudest are the people who wouldn't have been affected at all. They were all white, pretty much. Trump being elected really hurt my feelings. You know, like, my whole, like, world was set up and everything to me, and then Trump just happened, and it's like, this is a personal insult to me. Because people have this mentality that the entire world is their house, and the furniture should look like how they want it to look like all the time. And if it doesn't, it's a personal insult to them. You know, it's peak Americanism, because that's how America views the world, right? Wow. But the 2020 election doesn't seem as eventful as the 2016 one. You notice that? It's like, I don't even know if people... I think if Biden wins, it'll be a big shocker to a lot of people. Because I don't really think people expect him to win. I think rationally they expect that. But I think intuitively, on this deeper kind of level, I don't think they really think he's going to win. I think they secretly think everything's going to be the same anyway, and it's all just fuel for talking points and narrativizing. You know, like, they're not really preparing for what it means for Biden to win. They're preparing to complain or voice support for the idea of Trump losing. Does that make sense? Like, it's still abstract. It's still very abstract. Really, Biden winning? Actually, maybe I would prefer Biden to win, you know, because if he actually won, we have a guy with dementia in the fucking White House who's the president. Huh? What? Biden's like, Biden, what do you think about your health condition? Huh? He's got that kind of thing where he's like, it's like, what? Like, he has bursts, you know what I mean? To snap him back into reality. And normally Biden, he's just like, he's like that, you know, he's not in reality. So he has to kind of, you know, fuck. Wow, 2020. But you gotta love the chaos, right? Gotta love the chaos. Because we know there will be chaos coming, right? So the schools are gonna be opening back up. Let me eat my words, right? This is my prediction. So hell on earth is gonna be unleashed pretty much this fall. That's what I think. And if I'm wrong, I'm prepared to look stupid. The cases are gonna fly up because of the season. And the election's going to cause a lot of political instability, no matter the outcome. But specifically if Biden wins, I think. Yeah. And, or unless, so apparently Russia has a vaccine. Did you guys know that? And Putin went on TV and he himself said, he was like, I'm pretty sure we have a vaccine. He said that. I'm pretty sure our guys made a vaccine. So he put his face on the line saying that. So his vaccine, you should expect it to work. Because if it doesn't work, Putin's face is on the line. He said, if he says it's going to work, it's got to work, right?
Even he put it to his daughter.
Yeah.
To prove that he is the real vaccine.
Yeah. So, maybe they'll come, and the U.S. isn't going to allow them to import it. But if Russia starts rolling out vaccines soon, it's inevitable that the U.S. is, and it's successful. It's inevitable that that's kind of maybe means the coronavirus thing is over.
It also makes America look stupid. Like they have all this, or the West in general. They put all this money into vaccines, and then it's Russia.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It would be humiliating and stupid and whatever.
Also, I was expecting that it will be China, the first of the vaccine.
That's the thing. That's why it's weird that Russia got it first. It is a bit strange, But they're the ones who hate coronavirus the most. See, the Chinese, they don't hate coronavirus. They're fighting it, but they've adjusted to the reality. The Russians don't want to adjust to the reality. They just fucking hate it. They want to get rid of it. They want it to be gone. That's kind of the difference going on here.
Might it attest to as well the technological and scientific achievements of the Soviet Union and the continuation of that?
I think, yeah, I was thinking that too, is that there's a lot of legacy from the Soviet Union had exceptional, vaccine stuff, research and shit going on, so what is it called? Whatever labs and shit. So yeah, that's the reason,
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me really when we talk about it, when we think about it.
Yeah, true. Speaking of Russia, because everything's Russia in Eastern Europe, right? In Belarus, shit's going down, But I think something a lot of people don't know, and I don't know if I'm right on this, was Russia supporting some of the opposition against Lukashenko? The context being, Lukashenko wants to move closer to the West, I think, or to the 3 Seas initiative, because of Russia cutting the fuel. There's a bunch of reasons. Russia cut its subsidies for fuel, and Russia has different designs on Belarus than what Lukashenko wants. He wants Belarus to be industrialized and independent. Russia sees Belarus more as a subsidiary of Russia, a kind of younger sister. So yeah, a lot of weird things happen behind the scenes. It's a bit strange. I don't know what to make of it.
Yes, and it's like I really don't know what to make of it either. Like, I don't know what's even happening exactly there. The last thing I heard from Belarus before all these protests is like we have a liberal politician here who is friends with someone from the Belarusian elite. Like, I don't know, he was a diplomat or some kind of that. Yeah, and that's all I know about the country.
Yeah, it's not really that Belarus is moving closer to the West under
It's like the West is approaching Belarus.
It's not even the West per se, because Germany is now becoming more allied with Russia.
Yeah, that's true.
Not allied, but geopolitically aligned. More and more. More than usual, right? Because of the whole gas situation. Yeah. It's not really Western Europe. It's the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the 3 Seas initiative, which is American-backed. So it's a little bit weird, Because as we know, the three C's, Poland is at odds with Germany, right? And this takes the form of the opposition of Poland, but not just Poland, also countries like Hungary, against the EU or the EU establishment. So, yeah, something strange is going on. People should keep their eye open. It's a little bit weird. And something else I wanted to rant about, which has nothing to do with any of this shit. And I actually remembered this throughout the week to say it here. People who talk about accessibility of writing and texts and theory specifically. Because I thought about it and it made me triggered. These people are always saying, if you in academia, I'm not right now, but I remember it, and I also see how it happens on social media, where they're always like, your theory is inaccessible. It's way too convoluted. It's way too complicated. It is not accessible for beginners. Hegel is inaccessible. They always say this shit, right? That's inaccessible. Lacan is inaccessible. Why would I focus on this inaccessible shit when I can just, I can focus on what I really do understand, already. Here's the problem. When you give it to these type of people plainly and simply, what do? So they're complaining about inaccessible texts, theory, right? That's fine. There's a time and place for that. You can't expect ordinary people to have time or give a shit about that, and I personally respect that. But when you speak to them like how you would speak to ordinary people, what do? The first thing they do is they say, you are wrong because that is cis, hetero, ably bodied, ableist, heterogendered, fatphobic. And they smack you in the face with all of these terms and terminology that are the most inaccessible and radically unfamiliar to basic intuition and common sense type of fucking vocabulary ever. When you try to speak to them in terms of common sense and the intuition, they bypass you and then they throw you a bunch of fucking academic shit on you that has no... When you say these words, do you feel anything right here in your gut? No, you don't feel shit. It's all happening here. You don't feel anything in your heart or your gut. It's all happening here. Well, personally, I think that queer, ably bodied, I think my head has enough storage space for this shit. The whole point is, this is the people I despise. We should invent a new term for these type of people. Intellectual kulak. Why? Because they're not quite the elite. They're definitely not the elite intellectuals. They're not vanguard elite. They're not high up, but they're also not common people. They're kulak. They are literally the definition of parasites. They are, in every meaningful sense, they are useless, mediocre parasites. They lack common sense, intuition, and they also lack any real knowledge about anything. So you have this kind of NPC thing, Yeah. That was just something I thought about while driving in the car. And I was like, you know what? I need to share this somewhere, or else I'm going to become a car person. Those people who record videos of themselves in the car, like when they're parked and they're like, something that's been grinding my gears, something's been chapping my ass, So I was thinking the other day.
A taxi driver.
Yeah, no, I always feel like I want to become that person, but I never do it.
my question, generally speaking, is how does someone make the distinction between university discourse as we talk about it and we, condemn it, as opposed to these other scholars, call them, or people within the academia who are within it but not of it.
How do you
make the distinction then?
I think it's almost kind of simple. Is that if they are? I think one of the big things is the moral element. If they're just regurgitating and reproducing, because moral used to be a word that had a little bit more weight to it in the past. Moral was like, it's like aesthetic, right? It's like your subjective position, whatever. If they're just reproducing that with new words, it's university discourse. But if they're scholars who are producing insights that contradict the prevailing aesthetic, it doesn't really matter how they sound, right? They're outside. That's how I would distinguish them. So it's a matter of content, you should always judge everything by its content, but the problem is that in the university discourse and academia, a great deal, the grand majority of all the content being produced it's university discourse, because why? The end point of the circuit, so to speak, is reproducing the very system of knowledge that it prevails in the first place, Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, it's not a personalized thing. It's a phenomenon, if that makes sense. It's like a lot of people in university are there because they need to make a living, not because they are NPCs. But the problem is that those NPCs exist. Does that make sense? Like on a personal level, how you make your living isn't really important, right? You're getting a tenure, and also context matters, because the university is not the same everywhere. I'm mainly speaking about American and English universities, and Canadian probably. So it's not the same everywhere, right? The Chinese university is not the same as an English one. There's a lot of interesting things going on in Chinese and also Russian universities, I learned. And then also, you probably have experience in African adjacent universities. Interesting things are going on. What I'm talking about, but mainly it's an American phenomenon. England and Canada, they're culpable as well. But mainly at the end of the day, it's an American problem. 100%. Yeah.
I don't want to. Well, I guess I don't want to. Preaching to a choir. Just continuing in the same vein. But that makes sense to me, because it's always, when trying to explain it to somebody, it's always been sort of the distinction, as we always go back to, between form and content. Although something might take a similar form, you really have to look into the content of the matter and into its essence. And there you see the distinctions. And for someone who, as we always talk about, is just, well, it might as well be the same thing. You know what I mean? Even though it is very different. Like, the particular doesn't matter. It's all the same. These people can't make the distinction with the concept, because it has a similar form, or it appears to be the same. It's the same thing. But then, you're going to be wrong every time.
And that is the quintessential Western pathology since modernity, or Enlightenment rationalism. It's pretty much the mistake of saying all the same, because it meets the formal criterion of identity. Because it meets some pre-existing formal criterion that it's identical, they say, oh, it's so, therefore it's all the same. But for the I don't like the word pre-modern. For the other kinds of thinking, let's just say that, it's ambiguous enough. You don't begin with a axiomatic formal criterion and then judge all of reality by that measure. the measure is always imperiled in the reality itself. The measure itself has skin in the game. It doesn't simply exist up there in heaven first and then you judge reality. It itself is judged in reality. Meaning, if something appears the same by some formal criterion of some kind, this is not enough to establish an identity. You have to go to the essence. Only when you get to the essence can you say it's the same. But actually, for there in the first place to be a distinction, they couldn't possibly be the same. If you have to ask the question, is this the same? It's not the same, right? Because something has made you ask the question. If that something is a property of the thing itself, not just your contingent circumstance, right? Like, for example, let's say you're in a box and you can't see anything, right? And then there's a cube. I'm so stupid. You're holding some kind of cube, and then there's an identical type of cube outside of the box, and it's making noise, banging on I don't fucking know, and you're trying to verify what is that, right? Well, obviously, yeah, there's a discontinuity in knowing that it is the same thing as the thing you're holding, but that's not because of a property of the thing itself. It's because of your specific contingent circumstance, right? And if that contingent circumstance is elevated to the status of something permanent or something, then yeah, then you can't say the thing outside is the same thing as in, because it has a different relationship to you, right? It's not the same, because the thing inside is something you can hold and fuck around with, and the thing outside it isn't. You know what I mean? You have maybe the potential for it to be what you're holding, but it's not. Does it make sense? Sorry, it's such a convoluted example. You know, I'm the worst person at giving examples for anything, right? Like, I make it so complicated and so convoluted, and then someone comes around and gives a much, much simpler explanation. I'm like, that's what I meant. Exactly. That's exactly what I meant. And then I feel bad for being so stupid. You know, honestly, guys, here's what Americans need to understand. The true test of intelligence is not being complicated. Americans think that, though. Americans think to be intelligent is to be like, well, I'm going to be like, you know, the American TV shows that depict smart people, they're always like, well, the quadratic equation of minus 2, and then they talk really fast, and the character's like, wow, you're really smart. I didn't understand a thing you said. You must be really smart to be able to pump out enough energy to be saying all this complicated shit. No, if that person has to always talk like that, they're the biggest fucking idiot ever. Real intelligence is knowing how to be correctly simple, right?
If you can't talk simple, you're just learning vocabulary.
Yeah, you're just like a fucking monkey repeating, well, according to the quadratic equation of the... Shut up, bitch. You're just trying to intimidate people. Like, obviously, it takes a lot of energy to do that. It doesn't take intelligence, though. So, just say what you're saying about the Santeria thing. You have a neighbor that practices Santeria, right?
Yeah. From the beginning, or?
No, it's okay. It's okay. We got it.
Oh, so literally, I started to hear some chantes, and a chicken that it was crying.
You know, that's a funny story, because I remember when I was young, we traveled, my family, and my extended family, we traveled to the somewhere in the Caribbean or something. I was so young, so I just was told the story afterwards. But either Voodoo or Santeria, but you know, like, the family's really superstitious, you know, so they picked up some kind of carving mask, the vendors were selling for tourists, right? And it was like sitting in the corner of the room, and my uncle or something, I don't know, some family member, right? Was just super superstitious about it, and threw it into the sea or something because they thought it was like devil worship and it was cursed. Yeah.
Honestly, this shit is creepy as fuck. Like anyone who does witch stuff, voodoo, I don't know.
Well,
It's not like I'm superstitious, but it's just like creepy how serious they are about it.
I think it could be creepy if you actually come across the people who really do it in Jamaica and in the Caribbean and shit, and the people who really are into that. But in the U.S., there's a new trend of witches, and they kind of just do it.
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous, yeah, but still, like,
yeah, but they emulate it. Like, do you know Azalea Banks? You know who that is?
I think so. I heard her name.
She said she was a practicing witch, and she did the chicken stuff too to like curse people. I don't fucking know. But America, like, they've Americanized it. You know, they made it into something stupid. You know.
I believe it. I believe it.
Like before, there's a kind of maybe like wow, there's a lot to this. You know, there's a lot of history, and you don't want to fuck with it. You know. But then the Americans came and they just... I'm not superstitious. I'm just saying, like, still, it's like... It's a little bit spooky, you know? But... Yeah, and then there's something that I found out called Witch Talk. You ever heard of TikTok?
No, wait.
Like, really? You're talking about this shit? Is this serious? Yeah,
there's a TikTok for witches.
Yeah, they call it Witch Talk, and young girls, and unfortunately, grown women, 30 and up. I think millennials, you know, like so 25 to 35.
Yeah,
some shit like that. They pretend that they're witches, and one time they made up a story that was trending on Twitter, and I remember this from a few days ago, and they completely made it up. And they were like, oh my god, someone hexed the moon. A group of witches hexed the moon. And they were all like freaking out about it. And then I was so confused. And then I realized, like, first of all, here's how first of all, where did this originate? This was an entirely auto-endangering meme, meaning it has no place of origin. No one ever actually saw anyone do this. They just heard someone say someone hexed the moon, and then everyone treated it as a real thing. And what happened was that, you guys know the channel, the CW? It's an American channel. You don't expect to know. Evan, you know about that, right?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
There is young adult fiction shows on the CW that are made for young adults age 12 to 15 or something, right? Probably. And what we saw there was a case of mass psychosis trying to LARP a scenario from one of those TV shows that are usually about supernatural, special witches and like shit like that are like, you know, the typical young American fiction, like, oh, you're not like those regular kids, you're not like those normal people, you're special, you're magical, some shit like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Harry Potter.
All movies.
Yeah, but it's America, like the shows, you know, for those young adults are, yeah, it's really like, or they have them like, oh, you're a vampire, or you're a werewolf, or you're a fairy, or I don't fucking know, you know? So they were reenacting that shit, and they were like, someone hexed the moon, not because they were actually worried about this, but because people missed this. It wasn't because they were worried about the moon. It was because they wanted to feel like they were enacting and a part of this fictional young adult fiction world. Like, could you imagine how exciting life could be if you were able to worry about hexing the moon? Oh my god! Someone let the werewolves out! What are we gonna do, guys? Oh, I'm so worried. I'm gonna go grab my Van Helsing jacket and crossbow. Oh, I'm very distressed. It's not like I'm having a lot of fun playing through this scenario. It's not like it would be really cool and really fun for werewolves to be let on the loose and for me to be a werewolf hunter, and, you know, I get to be in that world, it's actually that I'm distressed. And yeah, shut up. You're not distressed about anything. You really happy and excited to feel like you could be like, oh my God, someone hexed the moon. There will be really bad consequences, guys. Trust me. Oh, fuck. This is why I don't have any friends, because I'm an asshole. Yeah. But that's why a lot of people are glad that Trump is finally banning TikTok. You know what I heard someone say on Twitter? I heard someone be like, TikTok is digital fentanyl made by China for American audiences to prepare them for the Chinese empire. He called it digital fentanyl. It's so funny.
The opium wars. But on the other side,
TikTok is actually kind of like, it's like I love how they called it fentanyl, because it is kind of like that kind of drug. It slows you down and makes you it has that effect. But download the app and just scroll through it. A lot of shit is going on in it, really fast videos and shit, but you keep scrolling and you're like, you become zombified, But yeah, they're banning it because people love it, man. People just, I don't think it's all bad. It's not necessarily all like that. I think the weird TikTok stuff is because Americans are trying to cope with this new Chinese technology, and the reason it's Chinese, I think, is because TikTok, it uses technology to give representation to the most marginal kinds of people, and it allows them not only to be represented but to feel like they can participate in the world of media. They can reenact scenes from their favorite movie, or they can do dancing for a popular song. They could really feel like they're participating in part of all of that. So there's kind of an element of Maoist democracy to TikTok that is just wildly popular with people. Right. Yeah. So it's a clear grab. They're banning it because America is butthurt that they weren't smart enough to be able to basically make an app like that.
Every place is filled up. Everybody is sitting on each other's laps, spitting on each other. There's nothing, but it's still officially a state of emergency, but nothing's going on.
That's how it is here. And I was just saying to Alex and Jorge, I become like a right winger in Michigan. I'll go up to the Capitol and protest with them. You know why? Because let me tell you what. I understand in March why everything was shut down. Gretchen Whitmer. This is the... Oh my God. This is the fucking carousel we're in Michigan. Anyone who thinks Gretchen Whitmer is smart, leave the room. You're stupid. I'm talking to you guys, people watching. I sympathize with why people hate Gretchen. Because I understand lockdown in March, and I understand why you would keep shit locked down. But if you've opened the casinos, and I don't care that it's 15% capacity, why is the gym still locked down in Michigan? This is very personal. Okay, I'm doing the private use of reason, whatever that concept. This is not like some position. This is just personal, right? But why the fuck are the gyms still fucking closed? Tell me why they're still fucking closed. If your shit didn't work in 6 months, it's never gonna fucking work. So just open them. Gretchen's whole fucking thing is like, well, Michigan residents, until you learn to behave, we're gonna keep at this. Okay, but they're not gonna behave. Okay, so stop punishing me and just let me go in the fucking gym. Or I don't fucking know, man. It's August now. It's ridiculous. Other countries are already opening up because they already successfully did this shit. You know, like clearly it hasn't been successful. It's not. If it has to last a year, it's not successful. Sorry, you know. This is just a fucking. This is just a what they call it. This is something that's grinding my gears. You know. This is just a thorn in my ass at this point. But it's so annoying. You know, like I just imagining her face and the people going, well, we're gonna keep the gyms closed. This is why I'm misogynistic, you know? This is why. Like she doesn't understand how much this impacts. Like people can be like, you're being selfish, and you're right. You're right. I'm being selfish. But why are the gyms still closed? Close the casinos. Close the bars and restaurants. You know, I don't mind that.
Yeah, right. Things that don't directly tie to someone's health and well-being.
That's another thing too.
The gym directly.
That's true. That's very true. You know, it's like. I feel like the reason is political, and I'll tell you why I think it's political. Because Michigan's the only place where the gyms are closed, I'm pretty sure. One of the only places, at least. I think it's maybe the only, I don't fucking know. And it has no effect anywhere else in the country that the gyms are open. But I think the reason is because it's become politicized, because the gym owners sued her, and it went to the 6th district court, and they smacked it down. So now if she opens the gyms, she feels like she will be conceding to the opposition. That's what I think is going on. Yeah, that pisses me off, man. That pisses me the fuck off. It's just
one thing that I found interesting with this exact problem, what the EFF was calling for. The EFF was calling for discounts, discounts to home exercise equipment. They were like, all right, if you're going to close the gyms, well, then people still need to exercise, so they should be discounted. Home exercise equipment should be discounted, and it should be easier for people to get home exercise equipment so they can still continue to work out, get healthy. And then they were making it as the revolutionary masses need to be not only have sound mind but also a sound body. You know, and then they put that in alignment with the. This is just very nice.
That surprises me. That actually surprises me. I would not have expected that. That's really cool, actually. But I don't necessarily expect that. I understand why in South Africa, you know, why if you were an organization, I don't know if I would want the gyms closed. Maybe they should be closed from an organizational perspective. But I'm just speaking from a selfish, personal perspective, you know. And also another thing is that the EFF's position's been consistent. You know, they're not saying open the casinos. They even said close down the liquor stores. And the liquor stores never closed in the U.S. In Michigan, I mean. They never closed in Michigan because the tax revenue would be hit. But they said the real reason was because of addiction. Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, I understand. I definitely understand. It's no Another thing is the difference is that in South Africa, it's like the EFF, by taking a strong stance for a lockdown, they're taking leadership and they're saying, we don't want our country to be a joke. We want to be serious. We want to prove our seriousness. We want to, you know what I mean? Following China's example. But I only view the U.S. and Michigan as a joke. I view the attempts for Whitmer to be serious and I view them as a joke. They'll never be successful because they have no basis or roots in the masses, and the EFF does. So it's completely different. If you don't have a basis in the masses and you're trying to be this medical soldier who wants everyone to follow the rules, you're a fucking clown. The people come first, right? That's how, even if there's a plague where you touch something and you instantly dissolve and die, if you don't have your basis in the people, your medical whatever doesn't mean shit. You need to have a basis in the masses, right? You can't have a medical dictatorship without a people's dictatorship, And I know the scientists and medical people are like, oh man, but this is the facts. Why do I gotta go through all this emotional stuff? And then you gotta remind these people that, hey, it's not a given that we're not just living out here for no reason. We live for a reason. We're not just animals who subsist. It's not just a Spinoza world, right? You got to have meaning in this world. You got to deal with all that stuff. And if you can't deal with all that stuff, none of your medical anything means anything. Yeah. Like Bill Gates, he'll be like, well, I helped a lot with all these people. Yeah, Bill Gates, but everyone still hates you because, as Alex Jones said, you look like a goblin and you act like a demonic elf who hops around. But objectively, I've helped. Objective. Shut the fuck up. Clearly, it's not objective enough because the people are an objective reality. Ever think of that? Ben Shapiro, when he said facts don't care about your feelings, ever consider that feelings are also factual? Never thought of that, did you? You didn't think about that. It's all about thinking.
Okay. Well, here in this place in Twitter, Mexico, that it has his own friends, there was a recent event that was a video of an attempt to assault, rob some people that was in public transport. He tried the robbers. They tried to rob to the people, but they committed a mistake, and the people of the transport, they literally started to punch them, and they took out all of his clothes, and they let them get out of the streets completely nude to the robbers. They literally expected. It was a situation very funny. They make a lot of memes about it. They put it another people who are these robbers completely nude in the streets, being assaulted by the people, the common people that they were trying to rob.
So they took their clothes.
They took the clothes. They tried to rob the people. They failed, and the people took the clothes of the robbers. And they let them wander naked in the streets, completely naked. So the situation is that in Twitter, a lot of people that come of very middle class, of Roma and Condensat, they find it indignated how these people that treated these poor robbers, they're trying to do his living. And these people of Texcoco, that is in the popular neighborhoods, they started to punch. And it's a very comical thing.
Yeah. That's how it is. The middle class people came. Not the regular people, the middle class.
The middle class, the lovers of American way, they felt indignated that the people of the popular neighborhoods defend themselves against the robbers, saying that the robbers has feelings, the robbers shouldn't be treated like that, the robbers whatever.
That's what Marx and Engels meant by the lumpen.
Yeah. So this is this kind of experience of how very different way are the thinking of the common people here of the popular neighborhoods and the middle class here that follows the American way.
No. You see, so it will take someone in the university to come and say, well, actually, this act of shaming and declothifying, stripping, if you will, stripping, if you will, the dignity of the robbers is an act of queer-phobic, poorly abled bodies being trampled upon by cis hetero queer-phobic patriarchy. And we need to send social workers down and teach those people how to address tri-gender people with the correct agender fluid pronouns that come from the indigenous tribe of South. I don't give up.
Yeah, but that's the thinking of things. They trying to teach these people how should be trying to be robbed.
Exactly.
How they should be robbed.
That's how it is in America, though. Like, I'm sorry, but people are like that. They're like, well, you're gonna rob me? I feel like that's how it would be now. Maybe I should be a robber, man, because it'd be so easy. No, actually, I don't know. But I feel like if I was a robber, I'd be getting rich right now. Because people in America, they're probably like, well, it's almost insulting. Imagine if you're trying to rob someone's shit, and they're like, well, I empathize with your socioeconomic status. You can have my purse. And just remember, if you're a robber, you be insulted. Slap him across the face. What the fuck you talking about? Oh, you can have my wallet. I empathize with I empathize with your position. Have my wallet. If I was a robber, I'd slap that dude in the face. No, I'm not gonna rob you. Fuck you. Forget about it, okay? I didn't mean it like that. God.